Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to a very special live webinar. I'm joined today by Christian Byfield of The Depositary, everybody's favourite end of tenancy solution, and Rachel Lightfoot from TouchRight, everybody's favourite reporting tool when it comes to creating up-to-date reports on properties at any stage of the tenancy, but particularly useful at the end as well. So guys, I know that you've got one of the things that we always struggle with as an industry is that we're using lots of different solutions, and sometimes those solutions aren't talking to each other or working with each other, and so therefore we end up duplicating a lot of tasks, and sometimes we have to duplicate data entry, which just costs us time. It also leads to errors, because the amount of time that I've typed something in one place incorrectly and then copied it across to 10 other places also incorrectly, thinking I'm saving myself time, I end up making big mistakes on that, and so it costs us even further down the line. Having something that could talk to each other so that you've got the information in the right place is something that agents understand all too well, and that's why I know that Christian understands it all too well. He's built a solution based entirely on his experiences as an agent and talking to other agents every day. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you.
Cheers, buddy. So yeah, I think on that point about integrations, I think every agent absolutely wants to try and get to this kind of halcyon of products and services that talk to one another. I think when we launched nearly 4 years ago now, we originally thought that the be all and end all for integrations was going to be for CRMs. And whilst that is very much still on our roadmap and on our agenda, what actually came to light is there were integrations that could deliver far greater value to our agents than CRM ones could. And I think the best example of that in our current kind of ecosystem, I mean, we've got 13 partner integrations now, and the latest one is with fantastic TouchRight by Plantific. And we're going to show you during this webinar exactly what this does. But very simply, I would say our inventory partner integrations shift the needle the biggest amount. On average, I would say what you're going to see will save a property manager about an hour's work every tenancy. And we're going to show you today how easy it is to set up the integrations that we've created, and we're going to walk you through a video showing you how you do that, how you sort of flag things within a report, and what that then means coming into our system. So just to say a little bit about the depository, for those of you out there who haven't yet heard of us, we are an end of tenancy streamlining and automation platform. As Mincy highlighted, we very much come at this. We are still very active letting agents ourselves. Anna and I, founders, own and operate Base Property Specialists in London. And really, we came about this idea because sitting down with our team, and this was about 7 years ago, we all agreed that the end of tenancy process is just turgid. No one really wins. For an agent, they do 90% of what they do is really just chasing people to do things they've already been asked to do, or explaining things that they've already been given information on what they need. So we felt that tech could absolutely play an incredible role. First of all, for agents, removing all of that kind of thankless work and really just letting them focus on where they add their value, which is kind of the curation, proposing and negotiating of deductions. But also we felt there were benefits as well. With tenants, we felt like we could make a cleaner, more evidenced process where tenants didn't feel like an agent was just making up a list of deductions to try and nab some deposit money for their landlord. We could come up with a much more legitimate, evidenced, backed deduction proposal process. And by integrating with the likes of TouchRight, we absolutely enable our member agents to do that. But not only do we enable to do it, we do it by also reducing their workload. And what we see out the back end is, yes, our agents benefit from a massive reduction in workload. They can instantly come on the dashboard and see exactly where any tenancy is in the conclusion process. What we're really seeing is with tenants and with landlords, the process gets done quicker. So the average deposit return in the UK sits around 21 days. Our current agents, I think in 2023, we averaged 13 days across our whole portfolio, and that was processing roughly 30,000 tenancies last year. So we're getting close to half. There were large parts of last year we were sat at 11 days. We've had a couple of days already at the start of this year where our stats board, if you follow us on social media, we regularly share our live data dashboard we have in our office. And we've already had a couple of times this month where we've hit 9 days. And ultimately, what tenant isn't going to be happier having their money back in their account faster? But also, likewise for your landlord. Your landlord wants this process done and dusted. They want that 420 quid of cleaning and dilapidations in their rent account so the contractors can get paid and they can just get on with it. And that's exactly what we do and what our fantastic partner integrations like we're going to show you today do. So that's enough for me. I'm going to hop onto the next slide. And Rachel, please, let's hear the amazing things you guys do.
Thanks, Christian. So yeah, just to give you a bit of an overview about TouchRight, for those of you that don't know of us, we're a property inspections and reporting platform and app that it helps you, whether you're a letting agent, a property manager, maybe an inventory clerk or a contractor, enabling you to produce your property reports quickly and easily throughout the tenancy. So it's not just about the end of tenancy process, it's all of the different inspections and reports that you might do at the property during that tenancy period. And the image on the right just kind of gives you a flavour of some of the different inspection types that can be carried out in TouchRight using a variety of different templates to capture that information and build up a bespoke template that's right for you. TouchRight's widely used across the UK. We've got hundreds of agents using it across UK and Ireland for a wide range of report types, as I mentioned. So we've got lots of standard templates in the system, and we've created hundreds of different customized templates for clients of different shapes and sizes to really suit the types of inspections that they want to go and do. So as well as obviously having our latest integration with the depository, which we're very excited about, TouchRight also integrates with a variety of other industry platforms. Some of the key CRM platforms that you guys might be using, such as Equate, Agent OS, maybe Cube or MRI, sales and letting software, perhaps Repeat. We also integrate with SME as well. So we've got lots of integrations, and we're very sort of well versed in creating integrations that really work for our customers and the types of data that you want to share and flow between systems. We also integrate with some repairs and maintenance platforms like Fixflow, and also obviously Plentific, who TouchRight are now owned by. And we also have an integration with Signable, which is an e-signature platform. So we've got lots of different types of integrations that really help sort of data flow between systems. Specifically on the integration that we have with the depository, it's really designed to help reduce that duplication at the end of the tenancy and some of the pain points that Christian was just touching on a few minutes ago, and really helping you to reduce that duplication by taking a lot of the data that you capture in a checkout report on TouchRight and then being able to share some of that information and the checkout report itself back inside your depository account. So all of the useful data that you may have captured for things like meter readings and the photographs of the meters, all of the deductions that you might consider to be tenant liabilities, all of those can be identified in your checkout report in TouchRight. Once you've sort of checked them off, and we'll cover that in a second with the demo, you can then sync all of that across into the depository alongside the actual PDF of the checkout report as well. So once it's obviously in your depository account, you can then do what you need to with that particular report and all of that useful information. So that's just a little bit about TouchRight itself. I think what we wanted to move on to next is a bit of a sort of end-to-end demo, just a real kind of high level, just kind of showing you how easy the integration is to set up, and also then how data can flow between both of the systems. So we shall move on to the demo. So, I'm not sure that's the beginning of the demo, actually, David.
Technical issues. Just 1 second. I'll try and bring
Apologies.
I was going to say that's jumped the integration link, isn't it?
It has, yes. Right, here we go. So there's a couple of easy steps to connect. So this is your TouchRight dashboard here. So we have an integrations area on the platform where you can go and see the depository. Clicking connect against that will then enable you to connect the two systems together. And we've got some helpful FAQ guides that are also there for ease. You'd log into your depository account and then choose which branches you want to connect or link to TouchRight from the list. And then because this process is really about the end of tenancy, you'll be selecting your TouchRight checkout report types that you want to send to the depository from the list that you can see. And then you'll be matching your TouchRight issue tags to the relevant fields in the depository to make sure everything syncs back to where you want it to go. Once you've clicked confirm, you're all connected and ready to go, essentially. Then the first step is about sort of connecting your meter readings. So you'll have served notice inside the depository. You'll have scheduled and completed your checkout report in TouchRight, perhaps using the app. Once that's then synced to the dashboard, you can then go in and edit and check that report through as you would normally do. When you edit the report, you'll see some useful meter reading information at the top of the screen. This just shows you what fields of data you can send to the depository. These fields include things like the reading, the serial number, the photo and the date. And then when you go to the meter reading section of your report, you'll then simply be able to click a depository icon. And this then enables you to start identifying your readings, your serial numbers and your photos, etc. So once you've clicked the button, you select the piece of information that you want to attach it to, click confirm, and then you'll see the icon changes color. So it's a very quick and easy sort of visual reference that you're making that connection with the data. You'll work through the report, selecting all of the meter information. In this example, I've got a gas meter reading and an electric meter reading, as you can see, and you'll just go through that process. It will show all the fields that are already matched in red. So that just, so you're not adding it twice. And, once you've completed that part, that's sort of your meter reading information all done and dusted. Once you've done that, then you can move on to your tenant issues. So once you have opened your report, you can select the ones that you want to push to the depository. So you may have some issues that you've already created in your checkout. You'd simply be editing those. You'll see some information at the top of the screen just telling you what information you need to add against your particular issue. You'll add an issue tag. So you've already, making sure that you've selected the right one there, and either decide whether it's a charge to the tenant or charge to other. And it's these two types of issues that will be pushed to the depository. You can add a value for the tenant deduction, and you can also attach any photographs that are relevant at that particular point in the report. Once you've gone through and done that, you would then click the update button, and that would then, is the video still going? Hopefully the demo is still going. You would click then to update that particular issue.
The video does seem to be running, yeah.
I can't see it on my side. It seems to have paused. I'll carry on. That's fine.
Can you see that?
A few technical issues. I think it's just loading at the moment.
Nothing like a demo with a few things.
Nothing like a demo, I know.
Live webinars, we're almost asking for it, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think we are. So much for pre-recording it to do away with the jeopardy of a live demo.
Whilst we're waiting for that video to come back up, just to add a little bit of context to some of the bits that Rachel's just talked about. So importing the meter reading data, I mean, that's great to make sure that the meter reading data arrives exactly where it needs to. Just so you guys know, I mean, we'll see this again a bit in the demo of it landing in. We capture that information, but obviously we not only share that with the tenants and landlords, but also one of our other partners. We do have a partner integration in the utility space, and if you use that, the fascinating thing with that data is that will come straight from TouchRight into our platform and then instantly straight back out to our utility partner with all the end dates, meter readings, like as you saw there, meter reference, meter readings, photos, and we will also relay the landlord name for purpose of void billing. And as an agent, you get to choose how that void bill is set up in terms of correspondence address. So again, it's just removing those repetitive daily tasks of reading your checkout report, writing up those meter readings in an email to your landlord and tenant, logging into your utility supplier and submitting the meter readings manually through there. It's all just happening seamlessly. How are you getting on with find that video back on track, Minty?
Let's see if this can.
There we go. Brilliant. It's come back on. Excellent. So this is one particular issue that I've added and completed. So in this particular example, in this report, I'd actually added 3 different issues just to kind of show you how quick and easy this is to do. But essentially all you're doing with your issue is adding that tag and then charge to tenant or charge to other, and attaching your photographs and putting in a value if it's relevant, and then clicking update. And you know, so it's pretty kind of straightforward to sort of go through that process. So I think this is the last one in this particular report. So once you've gone through and kind of done that, obviously the final stage in TouchRight with any report, once you've finished editing it and tweaking it, is to just double check that you've, you know, completed all of the different elements of the report, as you can see in this example here. Once you then click the save and complete button at the top, this is what kind of locks the report. So you'll see if it pulls up any unmatched meter fields, because, you know, it might not be relevant to that particular report, you can override that. And then at this final stage, you're just selecting the tenancy in the depository that you want to connect it to. The key thing is the message in red. So any checkout report that's pushed to the depository won't be editable in TouchRight beyond that point for compliance reasons. Once you've then clicked the send report button, that report is then sort of locked off and finalized in TouchRight, and you'll see the depository icon has been added against the report, which just then shows that it's been pushed to the depository and that piece is completed basically. So that's the kind of everything in TouchRight. So I'll hand over to Christian now.
Perfect. Thanks, Rachel. So yeah, I mean, literally in real time, within seconds of that report being completed, that lands in our system. So as you can see now, we've got the checkout report in our platform. As agents, you can configure when that is shared with your landlords and tenants. So the default setting is it's shared instantly. But if you want, you can delay that for either party to when you send them proposed deductions. As you can see here, we've captured all the meter reading data extracted out of that. And as I was saying before, if you use our utility partner, please connect me. That literally comes in and out without an agent even blinking an eye. And so now we can see the dilapidations that Rachel flagged within TouchRight are now sat on a dashboard. So gone are the days of your property manager wading through a 20, 30, 50-page checkout report to find these issues. You go through the steps shown, these issues will land on your desk. Now, something else that's highlighted, or maybe we can mute Carla's beautiful typing on this video, I don't know. But regardless, you get to hear it to realize that. Great thing that we saw in TouchRight was the fact that you can assign values. Now, we've actually got very few partners where you can do that at report level. Why that's really exciting is that if you use that, we can capture the assigned values proposed within the report for each issue. And then what Carla's showing now is you can merge issues within our platform. So the idea is when everything arrives from TouchRight in your dashboard, there might be 20 or 30 issues there. There might be 5, 6, 7 cleaning issues. You're obviously not going to negotiate 7 individual cleaning issues. So within our platform, you can merge that together. It compiles all the evidence together, ready so that you've got a handful of really comprehensive things to present to your tenants in due course. Now, as well as merging the evidence, we'll merge the values. So those 7 issues might have 50 or 70 quid a pop. We'll add those together and be like, look, that comes to 350 quid or whatever the total is. you'll still have the ability to edit that. But basically what you'll do is you'll curate that. You might have something to add that doesn't come from a checkout report. So, rent arrears, charges, anything like that, those can still be added manually. You can also still add to what comes from TouchRight. So we've obviously seen all the notes and the photos come in. And it's really important to know that we capture the photos at their original size and data standard. We retain all the original metadata, so the time and date stamp of when the photo was taken. If it's in there, the GPS location it was taken, so that should the matter go to dispute or adjudication, that is compliant with the needs of the deposit schemes to be able to validate the evidence that there is. But you can still add to those things. So you might have a quote or an invoice applicable to that job. You can add those in there if you want to. Some agents do that at the proposal stage. Some kind of keep that back as a kind of second piece of evidence to provide a tenant if they counter any of your proposals. But you create what you need to, and then depending on your processes, you can send it to your landlords to sign off within our platform if that's the process that you have and the service given to that specific landlord. And once you go through that process, it then goes on to the tenants. And again, the tenants, as you saw on the screen, everything is there. So here's what we're proposing, why, here's a description, and underneath they can just click to open the check-in report, the tenancy agreement, the checkout report, the photos that we've extracted out of the checkout report, anything as an agent you've added. So as a tenant now, they're not looking at this waffly email about how they're going to lose a third of their deposit for this, that, and the other. They're looking at very quantified, substantiated, evidenced proposals that are much, much harder to negotiate with. And then you're also laying that groundwork. Now, we don't focus on the dispute process because the reality is for most agents, it probably sits between kind of 2 to 5% of their deposit reconciliations. There are agents out there where it's 10 plus. But because we do all this in the early stage with all of our deposit partners, they accept all of our evidence as a dispute file. So you're not having to repeat this work later on. I think for most agents, if something goes to dispute, the thought of spending 1, 2, 3 hours in the TDS or My Deposits adjudication portal, digging out every relevant email that they sent or received, digging out every document and photo that's been passed back and forward. Whereas our platform's got it all locked down there, right from source, and yeah, ready to go. And like I said, our inventory partner integrations, I really do think they are the biggest win for our agents in the whole end-to-end journey. If I was going to pick out any one standalone thing that we do, this is it. And I think whenever we put this in front of property managers and we show them how our inventory partner integrations work, typically in terms of frontline staff who are the ones actually doing this on a day-to-day basis, this is without doubt the moment where they sit there and go, wow. So I don't need to read a checkout report again. And I don't need to sit there with it on 2 screens, copying and pasting and typing up notes. And it's, this is the big win. So we're really delighted to have TouchRight join us.
Would you go so far as to say the way that it's all presented actually cuts down the number of disputes you're likely to have, because it seems efficient and everybody's getting regular communication and it's all kind of in one place?
Look, it's quite tricky to have any kind of statistical data on that, because before we came along, ultimately what an agent does up to reconcile of a deposit and whether or not it goes to dispute, there is no data around it. There is no tracking. There are no insights. So it's very hard for us to compare what the norm is, because there isn't any data around the norm. But definitely what we're seeing is the agents that curate these well and are ready with follow-up evidence as well. You've got to maintain this level of communication. So if you propose something and a tenant comes back going, that's all well and good, but can I see an invoice? Or can you give me a little bit more information? Now, if you're a property manager that's tempted to go, oh, well, the information's all already in there, I'm just going to say, see checkout report. you're going to undo the work that you've already done. So you've still got to listen to a tenant. If they come back, you've still got to assess whether that is a reasonable request. And look, I think for any of us, if it was our money, you know, if someone's holding £1,000 of my money and they're going to say, I'm going to take 300 quid of that, you know, yes, they might have given a reason, but I think most of us would be like, can I see a quote for that, please? Or can I have an invoice? And that's not unreasonable. So I think as long as you maintain that approach of supporting and substantiating your claims, then yes. I mean, we see on average somewhere roughly in the region of about 80% of all proposed deductions are agreed first time, as long as they're presented right. So there is that caveat. But yeah, we definitely, the general sentiment that we get back from tenants is they feel they are being handled in a much more considerate and professional manner. They feel appreciated of the fact that it is their money. I think all too often in the conversations between agents, landlords and tenants, you know, landlords are very common misplaced at saying, oh, that's my money. It's absolutely not your money. It's absolutely the tenant's money. And I think that dynamic sometimes gets lost. And what we hear from tenants, the feedback that we get is they feel absolutely validated. They feel that that is their money and that they are being treated with kind of the respect and due care that they would expect in any other.
And transparency, you're almost showing your workings, aren't you, to both the tenant and also the landlord. So nobody on either side, it's a horrible place to be. We've all been there, where you're in the middle between these two parties, and sometimes you can't do right by either. But if they can see the lengths to which you're going to in order to reach a reasonable negotiated conclusion before it gets escalated, I think people appreciate that more, because very often the criticism of agents is, well, we don't know what you're doing for us, and because it's mystified, it's all behind the scenes. But here you're really elevating it on eye level for everybody, aren't you?
That's right. You're treating a tenant with respect. You're showing your landlord why you choose partners like TouchRight within your business, why you have the processes that you have, because this enables you to present deductions in this way. You know, one thing we're seeing with some of our top performing agents, there's a ton of reports that you can now pull out of our system, but there's two that agents really like. One is time of return from checkout to refund, great. But another one that agents are looking really closely at is we have claim versus agreement. So what we mean by that is the original amount of proposed deductions versus the final agreed amount. And again, what we see with our best performing agents is they want all their staff to be hitting 90+% on that. And that really validates things in two ways, because looking at it from your kind of customer landlord perspective, being able to stand in front of Mr. and Mrs. Landlord and go, do you know what, here's our tenancies over the last 3 months, and we can show you that we are averaging 93% of all proposed deductions because of the partners we have in place and the processes that we have and our tenancy agreements. It leaves our tenants with no room really to negotiate what are very legitimate proposals. So you're reassuring that landlord they're getting compensated accordingly. Meanwhile, what it also says is that those must be fair and justified deductions, because otherwise the tenants would not be agreeing to pay 90+%. So it also shows that you're being ethical and reasonable and professional in your conduct. And what a great message, again, to be able to put out to your tenants to say, you know, over the last 3 months, tenants have agreed to 93, 94, 95% of all proposed charges, showing we are fair and reasonable in how we conduct ourselves. What a great message for tenants to have, backed up by some data.
It's brilliant, and it's just really helpful for the agents as well, because I don't think there was anybody out there actually measuring this in any meaningful way. So having that statistic, you might have said, oh, on average, you know, we achieve 90%, but could you prove it? I mean, this is great. This is fantastic to be able to effectively benchmark it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But it's only possible with our partners. It's only possible with this data, because the reality being, when we first launched, this was a manual process. And yes, we aspired that our agents would come in and set up each group of deductions, carefully annotating everything over from the checkout report and dragging the photos over and everything else. I think the reality is that unless as an agent, you're going into you're expecting friction, you probably start much lighter touch and kind of build from there. What our partner integrations enable our agents to do is less work, and yet have this really comprehensive professional approach to making statistically evidence-led substantiated claims, which just wins for everyone, right? And all whilst the agent is doing 90% less man hours on the task at hand. So, but this wouldn't be possible without companies like TouchRight getting on board.
I was just going to add to that, Christian, actually, because we do have, I think we have got some mutual clients between the two companies, but obviously, some agents do choose to outsource their checkouts. So not every agent keeps them in-house and does them themselves, which, you might think, well, how would this process work if that's potentially what you were doing? Obviously, on the TouchRight side, we can, or the client can set up different types of users on their account. So actually, if you are outsourcing your checkouts to a third party, you could set them up as an external user on your account so that they are doing checkouts inside your TouchRight account, so that you then, when they've done those checkouts, can review those checkouts and decide what other tenant liable issues to push to the depository. So if you're not using TouchRight for your checkout reports because you outsource them, there is a way that your outsourced company could use TouchRight on your behalf to produce checkouts that still then give you that depository ability at the end.
It's great, and it looks, from what you've shown, I know we had some technical difficulties with the video, but for somebody who's perhaps not used the system previously, you can see how easy it is to do it, and it's a very rich integration. It's not clunky, so yeah, it seems to all flow naturally,
but really simple as well. I think when doing some prep work for this over the weekend, watching back the video, I don't know there are many companies that could put together a video of less than 7 minutes to display a really comprehensive part of an entire integration, from how you link it. And it's great that you're given those branch filters, because again, within our account, you have the ability to subdivide we call it branches, and I'm sure it's probably the same with TouchRight. It's called branches, but ultimately it's just a mechanism by which our clients can subdivide an account with us. That might be geographically or different brands that they operate under, but that aligns completely with the structure we have in our platform. So, you can subdivide both accounts, and then you can make sure that you're linking the specific data relevant to that team, that branch, on that dashboard. So, but in seconds, I think that link Rachel was showing, someone knowing what they were doing, that's probably like a 15 to 20 second job, and that's it done. You're all set up,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
In under 7 minutes, we showed that, annotating the documents and the meter readings, and it being imported and curated, ready to send out to a landlord. And I think most property managers will look at that, and I think, that 6.5 minutes could be quite life-changing.
Yeah, and just to add to that, from a sort of hand-holding people through this journey, obviously to kind of get connections and things set up. I think some people think it's potentially a lot of work, or it's going to take them a lot of time. We've got 2 very comprehensive sort of FAQ documents that we've created, which we do for all of our integration partners, a sort of how to connect it and then how to use it. Really simple, just a flow, a nice PDF kind of training document that shows people how to use it. It's really straightforward. And actually, in that document, we do go end to end and show you the bits that you can do in the depository at the end to review those meter readings and the tenant deductions as well. So it really is an end to end piece. But yeah, it's a very nice, complete integration from one system to another, which is great.
So there you go. If you're still wandering around with stacks of paper and trying to do all of this manually, these guys, will literally change your life. I think that is the as close as we can do for property managers. I think saving them time is changing their life and changing their world, and it sort of takes the being a property manager is a skilled job. The admin side of it sometimes makes us feel that we're just going through the motions, but here you've got some real tech that sort of takes the heavy lifting out of presenting and reporting to clients and to tenants, which I think to me is 3/4 of the battle, if not all the way there. So thank you very much for running us through that. We have got one question over here. Here we go. Will the depository support DPS?
So answer to that is we're going to have an answer on that very soon. I think it won't necessarily be an integrated solution, but we are in late stage talks with DPS to have a solution for DPS clients. So stay tuned. We'll hopefully have some news about that before the end of February.
Fantastic. Right, well, if there are no further questions, I'd like to say thank you to Rachel and thank you to Christian for giving us your time today and running us through this. Best of luck with this integration. I think it's going to be a major hit for both of your clients, and for everybody that's currently using it. You must have much more free time to watch these webinars in the future. So we'll see you again. Thank you very much for tuning in, and thanks to everybody who's given their time today.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Thanks. Cheers. Bye-bye.